If you desire to walk in alignment with your purpose, to live a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you've come to the right place. This is Sarah Locke, and welcome to Purpose Unlocked. Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about self-love and self-acceptance. I am joined by none other than my younger sister, Paige, who is an Enneagram Type 9, which means she's the peacemaker. She's peace and love, down for whatever, very easygoing. And she's become one of my very absolute favorite travel buddies. And we have an amazing time together. And this started out of a conversation that her and I were having about self-love and self-acceptance. And your question to me was, what does that really look like? So I want to start by asking you, what sparked that question in yourself when you were journaling about it, thinking about it, and writing that down?
What sparked it was because I've had people kind of like insinuate that, I need to have more self-love and self-acceptance. And I was kind of just like, okay, well, what actually is that? I thought, like, I've been trying really hard and thinking that I'm doing all the right things. And yeah, I'm still getting this feedback from people. What am I missing? Or yeah.
So do you think that was coming across to others because of the way you carry yourself or the way you communicate, or was it something very specific that you said that made them want to say or think that?
I think it's just a mixture of things. Because again, in each of the times I was receiving feedback or getting told this from people, it was definitely probably in different situations. Sometimes I'm just having a bad day and like venting. So it comes across, differently than on a typical average happier day.
Yeah. And I think that on the journey to self-love, like even on my own journey, I really thought that once I found self-love and I was in that space, I was going to be like, okay, well, now I have it, like the destination, and I'm here. And I think one of the things that you alluded to is that we're going to have bad days, and that's still going to happen no matter where you are on the self-love journey. And I think it's something that we have to choose every day. So was there a time or something that perhaps sparked feelings of unworthiness of love? Was there someone or something that started that where you were thinking like, maybe I'm not enough? And where did that stem from?
So I wouldn't necessarily say I ever felt unworthy of love or self-love. I just kind of always felt that I would always be second best and passed up for, let's say, a better option with less non-romantic baggage in the romantic setting. Because again, in this day and age, it's swipe right, swipe left. I'm definitely, I'm, I want to say I'm solidly average. I'm fine with that. But I just feel like we're in a day where it's just like, people are looking for the next best thing and looking, for not just average. Everybody's looking for like above average, or, like if you had somebody with the same personality, same physical characteristics side by side, but then one person, in my perspective at the time, if one of those people, let's say, had more medical issues or medical concerns that they had to deal with and the other one didn't, the one without that baggage would, be chosen before me. And just because from past experiences in my romantic love life, it kind of just solidified that like wrong, incorrect mentality. That's what I would say. Because again, I just had that mentality due to my own insecurities and they had not necessarily been solidified yet. And then I had this experience happen, and not that the people involved were obviously trying to solidify that or trying to have that come across to me that way. That's how I perceived it in my own way. Also, around the same time, I was in gymnastics, and gymnastics was my emotional outlet for the longest time. And once gymnastics ended pretty drastically, I had not been able to find another outlet for my emotions before all of this happened. So I do not believe that the following event would have had as large of an impact on me had I found another healthy outlet for my emotions. So there was 3 big crushes I had in high school. One of them, we were friends, and I developed feelings even though I told myself not to. He was super charming, hilarious, and like his only way of talking to girls was flirting. And so it kind of, at that time, came across to me like he had feelings too. And however, then he started to like kind of keep talking to me about other girls that he thought were pretty and that he was interested in, thinking of asking out. And I still thought I had a chance because I thought he would eventually run out of other options and give me a chance. And I actually wound up working for his mother. Well, with and for his mother. And she is the nicest and just wonderful, amazing human being. The lucky girl that marries this man is going to have the best mother-in-law. But he would come in and visit her. And it was just the sweetest thing to see. And so I don't know if it was because of certain way I looked at him, or if somebody told her that I still had she figured out that I still had feelings for him. And even though I was really trying to get over him, and however, not once, but twice, she wound up telling me, girl, you have to just get over and move on already. He is in a relationship. And she was just trying to help me out. Yeah. And I was just completely mortified and disappointed in myself. I never wanted to be that girl that was not able to get over a guy. But she was completely right. But it also just, everybody in his family knew about my crush on him. And so it just made it more embarrassing and kind of solidified this mentality I had in myself of pathetic Paige.
Well, okay, so you've said a lot, and I will start with, I know that you always say that you're very average. And I think that as someone who knows you and knows your long list of accomplishments, I can say that you're well above average at many things and in many areas of life. So I think that that's one of the things that, you're going to have to work through and squash when it comes to understanding where it is in your life that you are well above average, and just even getting away from using average as a way to judge yourself, because that also means that you're comparing yourself against other people, and you don't need to do that because you're not other people. You're Paige, and you're not pathetic Paige. I'm not good at alliterations on the spot, but I'll find a really good P word and that'll be what you are. So I think we have to definitely get out of the game of comparison. And it sounds like a lot of your insecurities are stemming from not only a rejection, but a rejection that was made very public, which could also feel kind of humiliating.
Yeah.
And I think that when we feel like everyone knows our business, it feels like there's almost like this microscope or this spotlight on you that's judging you. And I want you to know that most people are way more concerned with themselves than they are about the rest of us, you know? So I think most people are just pretty self-centered. And that, not to say that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that most people are really not worried about judging other people as much as we think that they are. So in order to try to get yourself out of the comparison game and focus on your strengths, would you mind sharing with me something that you are the most proud of?
So, some things I'm most proud of are my abilities to try, to persist, and my ability to self-reflect.
I think those are really important. And in what areas of life have you been able to showcase those strengths?
Okay. I will bring up my current job because this opportunity honestly came somewhat sudden, if that makes sense. So, it was sudden in the sense that I got the job offer pretty quickly and seamlessly, which is very fortunate, and I am very thankful for all the people that were involved in that process. But the job, however, itself did not start till a year and a half after I got the offer. I was hesitant. I I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew I was going to learn a lot, which I was excited to learn. I knew it was going to be difficult, and I knew that it wasn't something I was necessarily looking for or striving for. But like I never really put public accounting like as one of my goals or something that I was interested in. But I knew I was going to learn a lot. I knew it was going to be a great experience. And so I just decided, okay, let's give it a try. And I'm actually pretty impressed with my ability to have persisted through, I want to say, some of the challenges and growing pains from my first year and a half at the job.
Okay. So you feel like you were able to persevere in a situation where you were having to learn a lot of things. It was brand new to you. You weren't necessarily feeling called to public accounting, but it turned out that it worked pretty well and you seem happy in your position. You seem to add value, and the people around you that you work with see that, which is important. Do you feel like this job is aligned to your purpose, or do you feel that at this job you can at least contribute value in a way that feels purposeful?
I feel like I am developing skills and being taught skills that I can use in the future for my purpose.
And when is it that you feel the most aligned with your purpose and what you're called to do?
I feel most in line when there's just this feeling, all consuming feeling that I have, where it kind of just feels like everything flows and just everything in me knows that this is what I should be doing, and I'm making the right decision or doing the right action. I have a lot of peace. Any doubts and fears I have about the decision or action I'm trying to do just go away. And if I'm not currently aligned with my purpose, I feel like the longer I stay in that state, the more and more I just get this all consuming feeling. Well, pretty much the opposite all consuming feeling where nothing is going right. I'm trying everything and doing all the right things. In the job perspective, like the people, the pay, the job, everything is satisfactory, but there's just something that's not aligning and I can't necessarily quite figure it out. And like I'm taking a step back to reflect and I'm noticing that. Because sometimes positions or where you are is just it's not necessarily a toxic or bad environment, and it's a great job where other people can find their purpose and thrive, but it's just it's just not the right fit.
So it sounds to me like you're saying being in line with your purpose, it's more of a feeling than an actual goal or action or something very specific that you're doing. So it might not necessarily be completely aligned to or specific to the job that you have or what you're doing at the moment, but more so a feeling that you get when you feel like you're walking on the right path. And then on the other hand, you get the opposite feeling where you feel like you're almost swimming upstream when you're no longer walking in where you feel like you're being led, or even if you feel like you're being led in a different direction, that also becomes very apparent to you.
Yes. So I believe that there's two parts to that. I believe that those feelings, are there and direct you to your purpose. And then once you find that direction, then you can make decisions in the future that then are based on that. Because again, when you're finding your purpose, you can't really make decisions on, okay, well, if I do this, this is not aligned with my purpose because you haven't found that yet. So I feel like that's part of the process of finding your purpose. And then once you do find that, then you can kind of hyper focus to then be able to really flourish.
Yeah. I like how you explain that because I think that on the search for your purpose, you're not going to know exactly what it is, but it's more of a feeling that you get and where you're being led directionally. So I like how you said that. Do you find that the more you listen to that inner voice and the more you follow it and the more you learn along the journey, do you feel like that contributes to your self-love and to your confidence? Do you feel that growing as you continue to learn and grow?
Yes. Because again, along the way, you'll definitely still be tested and learn a lot, whether that's intellectually or just personal growth, to then be able to use that to then just keep moving forward and progressing.
Okay. So on your current journey where you are, what are your goals for self-love and where do you want to be? Because I know as someone who loves you, as your older sister, I definitely don't want you to feel like you're just average or that someone's settling for you when they better be the cat's pajamas if they're going to be dating and thinking about marrying my sister. I can tell you that right now. So they got a few tests that they're going to have to pass. So let's get that out there. So they're not settling, and you better not settle either. So, so how or where do you want to be in terms of a goal? How do you want to feel?
I definitely want to feel more accomplished and confident, and that kind of like is going to go hand in hand, I guess. Because I feel like as I feel more accomplished, I would gain confidence. And so my focus really is going to be more so on career and education.
Okay. So when you say that you want to be accomplished, you're saying that the two areas specifically that you want to feel accomplished are in your career and your education. And you already have a full-time job. You have a great job. And you also already have an MBA. So I would say you're pretty accomplished in those two areas. So what does further growth look like, or what goals do you want to hit in that area that you feel like you haven't already?
I believe because I've always had help or like connections in the jobs that job opportunities that I've had. And that has been fantastic and super helpful, obviously. And again, there is a saying that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And networking is definitely huge, career-wise. However, I kind of feel like a lot of times I've let other people make the decisions for me, or let other people guide the direction that I'm going to next. And so I really want to find a place where I've made that decision and I've chosen that direction personally.
Okay. So you want whatever career move that you make next to be your own. So the author of your own fate.
Yes.
And I would definitely say that just because you had connections to get you where you are, that's definitely not a bad thing. I know that a lot of people say your network is your net worth. And I fully believe that. I think that the more people you know, the more opportunities you're going to have, the more people that you're impacting. I think because you could know a ton of people and a ton of people could know you and they could not want to get you those job opportunities, right? Like I've definitely met people or have worked with people, and if they were to ask me for a reference or be like, oh, can you get me this job? I'd be like, no. But luckily, most of the people that I have worked with, that's not the case. Most of the people that I have worked with have been fantastic, and I have actually referred people to other job opportunities because I think that that's so important. I think if you know a good person for a role, you should want that person to fill that role. So anyway, all that to say, don't be upset or disappointed or giving yourself less credit because you've created those strong connections and people see your value and your worth and your work ethic, and they're like, yeah, Paige, she's the girl for the job. So I think that that's great. And as far as education, where do you want to be there, or do you want to grow your education as it relates to your career?
Probably a mix of both. I still have to, in order to get my CPA license, I still need to pass the 4 exams. It's funny because I was just on a call with somebody the other day and they're just like, so do you still have like classes and like learning, or is it just tests? And then she like corrected themselves. They were like, well, by just tests, I mean like, because they're big tests. They're not easy. When I first started at my current job, I was still in school for my master's, and so I was going to wait until I graduated, and then I've been pushing it off. But I definitely want to start back up again and just knock those tests out. Yeah, that's definitely one of my goals. So that would be career-wise. And at my current job, there definitely are a lot of learning opportunities, especially because in the accounting world, there is a big push to implement AI where we can. I personally have not seen it implemented yet, either at my current company or just like at my current role. Because again, it is still a very new technology. So I'm interested in seeing where that goes, to be able to learn more about that, because honestly, I've not done a whole lot of research on AI, or particularly AI with accounting, because a lot of the clients that I work with still use paper. So you can't necessarily use AI on paper.
So my guess and my understanding is that in the accounting world, because it's very process driven, they can use what's called RPA, which is robotic process automation. So from my understanding, the accounting world has a lot of processes that can be automated. And the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence could help. They could basically, what it could do is take that paper, read it, process it into a computer, and run different processes from there. So they could do things like fraud detection, checks and balances, and all of those types of things. So it would be more so taking the paper and then processing it in a way that's going to give you a lot of different information.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I see that being helpful. Do you think that when you reach these new milestones that you've set for yourself, so the CPA for one, and then two, the career growth, do you think that once you hit those two things, you are going to have the confidence and self-love that you desire? Or do you think that there's other areas of your life that you need to work on or improve or heal from?
Again, I would go back to, because I don't focus on the romantic aspect of my life. That should probably be another one of my goals where I do focus on that more. And it kind of goes back to me being an introvert. Like, it's hard for me to present myself a certain way, I guess, because I present myself as introverted, and that's because I like to watch and observe people interact with each other before I start a conversation or let them in and become vulnerable, like as a defense, and it's like my own like defense survival mechanism, to screen people to see if they can handle me, and like handle my messiness and all sides of me.
Yeah, I think that that's healthy and safe, and it's important to understand who someone is before, like you said, being vulnerable or letting them in your world, and making sure that they're someone that you would even want to bother to spend that type of time and investment in, because sometimes it's not worth it. So what does that look like? What are your options in that area and steps that you could take?
Ooh. See, now that's where I get stuck too.
Yeah, because I can tell you,
Sarah, I would not be in this situation.
well, I don't think that the Prince Charming from the Hallmark movie is going to jump out of the screen and into your living room. So, absent that option, what other options do we have?
So, okay, on the thing of Hallmark movies, you do realize how a lot of people, they move to the big city, but then they have this thing that makes them have to go back to their hometown, whether it's just to visit family for Christmas, save the farm, or whatever. Like, they always go back to their hometown and then run into their old love. And I don't know. I love that. I don't know. I just have something with that. I'm like, because that's where I feel comfortable. Like, with the three big crushes that I had since high school, that like I really haven't necessarily been able to shake for some weird reason. And like, there's just something in me that keeps going back, like, oh, maybe one day, or whatever, like, and
Well, perhaps you haven't met enough people yet.
true. And I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because again, I go back to that because that's where I feel comfortable. Like, I liked those three people because I felt comfortable with them and I felt like I could be myself around those people.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you need to meet more people and get comfortable enough on a level that you feel like you really know them and can be yourself around them, and they really know you and accept every aspect of you. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah, that's spot on.
Okay,
But it's
so
just hard because again, it's about then where do you meet people? Because like swiping right or left, it doesn't work for a lot of people.
amen. It didn't work for me. So
And it's hard to find where I can find quality people. And like work again, like work is where you met Mark. Work is where our parents met. Work is where Tess and Rob met. Oh,
that's
I
true.
shouldn't be naming names. But like work is where our other sister met her current fiance. And so work is definitely a common theme, at least in our immediate family. However, work has not necessarily been successful for me thus far. Uh, and so I'm trying to come up with other ways, but then like the next, other than swiping right or left, the next biggest, I want to say most common area would be the bars. And I don't know, to me, like the bars have just like never been my scene.
Yeah. Well, I think it sounds like we need to find an area where you can meet people that are going to be engaged and have similar interests to you. So have you thought about connecting with people at your church, or doing like some type of Bible study there, or even doing a meetup group online? Because they have meetup groups for people that are interested in going on hikes or doing other activities. Have you thought about that?
With church, I know that the Bible study, like our church has Bible studies, but the one that I was kind of invited to, or the one that I want to say works best for my demographic, is this women's Bible study. And like that
Probably won't be very many men there.
exactly. So I mean, they're wonderful women. It's a great outlet because again, you need girl power, okay?
Yeah.
Like you need that girl support group. But yeah, it's not necessarily a good option if you're trying to meet somebody romantically.
Do you know of anything in the area, or something, or a way to find opportunities in the area to get to know people?
No.
Okay, if you had a year left to live, where would you go?
Oh, if I had a year left to live, I would probably just travel. I would just travel and live my own best self with me, myself, and I, or with you, because we're travel buddies. Okay, like that's where I would focus.
Okay, well, let's say that you wanted to reach your goals this year. Where would you start?
With my romantic goals, I honestly have no idea. I mean, I guess I could like look into more, like you said, like hiking groups maybe or something. I mean, unfortunately, this is a pretty small town, so there's not a whole lot of options.
I mean, you do live in the most densely populated state in the United States.
Yeah, it's densely populated state, but not necessarily town.
True. So if you did know, what would you do?
If I did know, what would I do?
Yeah.
I guess I would do it and give it a shot, I guess. I would go on that. I would at least try, let's say like the hiking group or whatever group I found. I would definitely give it a solid try.
Okay. So
But
what I hear you saying is that you're going to find a group with similar interests to meet people.
yes. There are one or two more personal goals that I kind of want to reach before that now, though. In a way, one or
Okay.
two.
What are the personal goals?
I mean, my own place.
Okay. That's
Because I
fair.
still feel like a kid.
Well, you're saving money. Most people live at home for a very long time now to save money because the housing market's insane.
So it's more of like a mentality thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, it's just, again, it's human nature to stick with what you know and are comfortable with. And I'm comfortable being single because that's all I know. The fear of going into the unknown and starting a relationship, I want to say, at least at the current moment, is greater than my fear of never finding somebody and being single the rest of my life.
Okay. So it sounds like you want to focus on some of the areas of your life that you feel are more within your control first.
Yes.
Which I feel is admirable. I think that too many people rush into relationships before fully becoming the person that they want to be. I think that in order to get the person that we really want, we have to become the person that we really want to be, if that makes sense.
Ooh, that is true. But then, okay. So, because you're super successful, and so is your husband. And I know, like, you had trouble because, again, you are a successful independent woman that, like, like, you do have standards, like, you want somebody to at least match your energy. I feel like I'm also, like, in a way, kind of nervous about that, or like feeling that, like, if I keep focusing on my personal goals too much and like become the person I want to be, it will even decrease my dating pool more because, like, I mean, I already have like expectations, like, like, I mean, do you have to make buku money and stuff like that? No, like, I'm not money oriented in that one where it's like, oh, a guy has to make a certain amount, but they do have to have a certain amount of determination and motivation and like goals.
Yeah, I would agree with that. However, that's the mentality that I had for a very long time, and it didn't really work. And the reason it didn't work is because you don't usually find the one without the other. Normally, if you're someone who is very determined, hardworking, goal oriented, well educated, if you are all of those things, chances are you're going to have a certain level of success.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, so that's kind of the problem. And the way I looked at it is like when I had, first started dating, I was like, all right, they don't need to be as successful as me in certain areas of life, and that's okay. But then what I wound up finding ended up being people who became really insecure by the success that I was experiencing in different aspects of my life. And that was literally anything. It was insecurity around the fact that I was getting my MBA and had a higher education. It was success that I was experiencing in my career. It was success in having gone vegan and hitting more of my health goals. So it was like, it didn't matter. It was every aspect of my life that was making other people feel insecure. Because if you're someone who's not taking care of your health and overweight, and you know that about yourself, obviously I'm going to make you feel insecure when it was nothing that I did to make you feel that way. It's just that's how you feel by just being around me. So
Right.
I think if you are going to hold yourself to really high standards, I think you also have to hold your future partner to high standards as well. And yes, it is hard. And yes, that makes the dating pool smaller, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because now what I have found in Mark is someone who is not only my husband, but like he's my life partner. He's my biggest cheerleader. And the more I succeed, the louder he cheers for me. Like it doesn't matter, because my success is never going to make him insecure, because he has his own really high standards that he has for himself. So I think that it's really important to find that equality, and it is hard to find, but it's not impossible, and you will get there. So, do you think that once you achieve all of those, the things that you want to achieve, and if you see yourself making strides toward your goals and toward where you want to be in life, do you think that that is what self-love looks like? Is that
Yes.
where you're going to find it?
Yeah. Because again, I think you said this before, that like it's also not like a one-time thing, or once I accomplish this, that's the end and I've made it. I want to say everything in life, even just to be able to maintain happiness, even like, like actually after I got my MBA, literally the day I got my MBA was actually, it was like the best, but also like worst days of my life. Cause I was just like, oh, like, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, is this actually what making it feels like and stuff like that? And like, even if like I felt super, super accomplished and like was very proud of earning my MBA, the average, I think it is that high and that happiness that accomplishment brings you is what, like 60 days, maybe like 6 months at max, and then you're back to baseline.
Yeah.
And so it's just you constantly have to set goals for yourself, and just keep working to those goals, because honestly it's the journey, not the
destination.
Not the destination.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like we might have discovered that self-love is continuously working toward being the best version of yourself that you can be proud of.
And even just investing yourself, because I want to say pretty much the definition of self-love is investing in yourself. And to be able to invest in yourself, again, it's not a one-time thing. Warren Buffett did not make his money just investing once. He invested continuously. So so you, like, investing in yourself is not a one-time thing. Like, investing in yourself is daily. Okay, what am I going to do to love myself or to make myself better? Because again, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to invest yourself and do the things to push yourself and help you grow or accomplish your goals,
Yeah. I think you're right. Do you think that this conversation has given you the clarity and the tools that you need to stand firm in your answer if someone were to say to you again that you lack the confidence or the self-love or the security to stand in who you truly are?
I would say yes. Because at the very least, I can listen to this back. Let's like remind myself. Yeah.
And if all else fails, you can also say, my sister's little, but she'll fight you. Oh, well, Paige, I am really grateful for this conversation. I'm really grateful that I have an incredible little sister who's also my best friend and travel companion, and someone that I get to have awesome, deep, and fun conversations with. So thank you, and thank you for being the guinea pig to my first virtual interview on my podcast. So I'm just really excited for both of us. I think we're going to look back at this moment in time and see how much we both have grown. So I deeply appreciate you and your time, and I think that this conversation will serve a lot of other people. Thank you for the precious gift of your time. If you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone you love. Until next time, count your blessings, love yourself, and stay fabulous.